Welcome to our Parent Affirmation Sunday. It is amazing how quickly children grow up. I was talking to someone a few weeks ago. He's in the military, so I'm assuming he's 19, 20, 21 years old. The last time I saw him, he was 5. So he went from 5 to 20, and there's a block of 15 years, how quickly it goes by. And that's how it is in parenting. Time goes by very quickly, and that's why it's called the season of parenting. Just as we have 4 seasons in the weather, there's different seasons when it comes into the area of parenting. Do we have the commercial? We do?
So your seat good? Get the mirrors off.
Okay. Hold it. Before we run it, this is my favorite family commercial. It's called Subaru Girl Grows Up. And this is how quickly parenting happens. The father is giving the keys to the car to his 16-year-old daughter. And as he hands the keys to her, he doesn't see a 16-year-old adult. He sees his 7-year-old girl sitting there. Because that's how fathers see their daughters, and this is how quickly it happens.
So your seat good? Get the mirrors all adjusted so you can see everything okay? Just stay off the freeways, all right? I don't want you going out on those yet. Just leave your phone in your purse. I don't want you texting. Okay. Here you go. Be careful.
Thanks, Dad.
Call me, but not while you're driving. We knew this day was coming. That's why we bought a Subaru.
I like that. The Subaru, they have some pretty creative commercials over the years. Every Christian parent wants to be good and have a strong family morally. The challenge is living in a fast-paced world with lots of pressure and diversions that can put your family's moral health at risk. The good news is that it is possible in today's world to raise godly children who love the Lord. It's not only possible, it's happening all over the country. You're not going to find them in mainstream media and on the mainstream TV shows that you watch. But there are hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of young people who are deeply spiritual and love the Lord just like you want your children to do. In Proverbs 24:3, it says it takes wisdom to have a good family, and it takes understanding to make it strong. In other words, it takes a conscious effort to grow a godly family. Now I'm going to take just a few minutes. There's 2 things your children need more than anything else. Number 1 is kids need compassion. Kids need compassion. What is compassion? It is a combination of love and understanding. It's where I know everything about you and still love you. Children need a place where they are loved, accepted, and understood unconditionally. Now, every adult in this room knows that acceptance does not mean universal approval. We accept one another as brothers and sisters in Christ, but that doesn't mean that we are giving universal approval to each other's behavior. But your children need a place where they can be loved and accepted and understood unconditionally. In 1 John 4:7, it says, practice. I like the word practice, that's why I chose the Living Bible paraphrase. Practice loving each other, for love comes from God. And there is no greater place for you to practice love then on the children you are now forced to live with the rest of your lives. Children understand love three ways. Number one is affection. They need lots of hugs. Even when they resist them, they need lots of hugs and they need to feel the hugs. Two, they need affirmation. They need to hear positive reinforcement. And three, they need attention. The greatest gift you can give your child is to look him or her in the eye and say, you matter to me, and I want you to hear this. I love you. So kids need compassion. The second thing is kids need counsel. What is counsel? It is teaching your children a value system based on the Bible. It is saying this is morally right and this is morally wrong. Now, I'm not talking about the gray areas of opinion like Romans chapter 14. And remember that gray can only exist because there's black and white. So I'm not talking about opinions. But I'm talking about the clear moral teachings of the Bible. You need to be willing to say this behavior is right, this behavior is wrong. Some value systems teach you to love your enemies. Other value systems teach you to eat your enemies. Christianity says love your enemies. So the TV program ABC's 2020, have you ever watched the 2020? They did a program on juvenile crime in America, and I thought that this was very interesting that they would allow this to be broadcast. And this was their conclusion on juvenile crime in America. The rapid rising rate of sociopathic juvenile behavior is due primarily to declining moral values. What? When was the last time you heard on TV declining moral values? Depends on what you watch, right? The moral vacuum. This is what they said in the program. The moral vacuum these children grow up in has resulted in a loss of concern for others. They're motivated by a desire to please themselves through instant gratification, regardless of who gets hurt, end quote. So in this study, he said if you want to know why morality is declining, it's because of a moral vacuum at the core and foundation of our society, the family. So what is our response? How do we respond to this as Christians? One passage, Deuteronomy 6:7. Does it amaze you how much God can fit in one verse? Isn't it kind of amazing? You know, people write about families and they go on for page after page after page. The Bible can give you a lot of stuff in just one verse. One verse is all it takes. So here it is. You must, do you have Deuteronomy 6? Yeah, there it is. You must teach these commandments to your children and talk about them when you are at home or out for a walk, at bedtime, and the first thing in the morning. Whoa! You look at this closely and you break it down. Moses said 4 things to parents. Number 1 is you. I would like for you to circle you. You. Not the government, not the school system, not the social clubs, not even the church. He's talking to parents. It is the parents' responsibility to teach their children morality. It says you. Now, hopefully, the church can help, social clubs can help, school system can help, maybe even the government can help. But the ultimate responsibility to teaching is laid on you, the parents. And then number 2, it says, you must. Must. I'd like for you to circle the word must. It means moral obligation. It is not optional. If I'm depending just on the school system or the church youth group to be the primary teacher of moral values, then I am not fully fulfilling my role as a parent. Isn't it fun breaking verses down? Amen. You must teach. All right, circle, teach. And notice that the passage says where to teach. Are you ready for this? At home, out for a walk, at bedtime, first thing in the morning. As a parent, you are always teaching because little eyes are watching you 24 hours a day. You know, those little eyes are always watching you, right? And a lot of the teachable moments happen when you don't plan them. You know, sometimes, today we're having quality time from 2 to 2:30, so everybody, it's quality time now. A lot of times it happens when you're running late, have the kids in the car going to school, they're sick. A lot of teachable moments happen when you're not planning it, so be ready. And then 4, you must teach these commandments. You can circle commandments. You know the old cliche, God did not give us the 10 suggestions. Gave us the 10 commandments. And it's not a matter of think about these things if you want to. It's a matter of do these things. You can't parent and raise quality children in your spare time. This is not a hobby. Now let me explain to you what I mean by not being able to do it in your spare time. What happens is people have children and then they move on to their next goal. Hey, check kids off the bucket list. We did the kid thing. What's next on our list? If you blow it in being a parent, you've missed one of your major responsibilities. So help your children to grow in compassion and counsel. So here's a quote on your outline. This is from the State of Americans. This generation and the next. I don't know if you can see it on the screen. The fonts are a little small. America's families and their children are in trouble so deep and so pervasive as to threaten the future of our nation. The source of the trouble is nothing less than a neglect of children and those primarily engaged in their care, the American parent. Oh, wow. Our national rhetoric withstanding, the actual patterns of life in America today are such that children and families come last on our schedule. So in the end, your children are only going to remember one thing. As they look back, think about you and growing up in your home, they're only going to remember one thing. And that is whether or not they had fun. That's all they remember. Did they do fun stuff? Not expensive. I didn't say anything about spending a lot of money, just fun. That's all they remember. And so a joyful attitude will help your children develop a positive attitude toward life. So when I was a teenager, I was into forestry management, soils, agriculture, that kind of thing. And so my mom and dad they bought a tent from Sears because they knew I liked to go camping. And so we'd go like to the Starved Rock State Park in Illinois and other places in Wisconsin and just put up the tent. And then when I was a little older, that we bought the tent on wheels that folds in. You've seen those before, maybe you had one of those. And of course it was still a tent, but at least it was pretty nice inside. That's all I remember from my childhood. We had a fun time traveling. That's all I remember. Really, literally, that's about all I remember. Is it was fun. So in Colossians 3:21, it says, don't scold your children so much that they become discouraged and quit trying. If you don't have fun with your kids at home, have some kind of fun, then don't be surprised when they become adults and they don't want to come back home. So I want to leave you with what I believe is the most important parenting phrase that there is. The most important parenting phrase. And it is from Bill Griffith's 1970s cartoon, Zippy the Pinhead. This is the most important parenting phrase you will encounter. Are you ready?
Yes.
Are we having fun yet?
Yes.
Don't just endure your kids. Enjoy them. Parenting is just for a season. And the season passes, and then you have hopefully beautiful memories. We're going to sing an invitation hymn, and if you have a particular need, let us know while we stand and sing.